It's a day after the gory accident in which 34 people, including a one-year-old baby, were killed. Almost all children who died have been identified. On Tuesday, 29 people, including a one-year-old boy, died on the spot, while 5 died later at the hospital. At the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, mothers, fathers and other relatives continue to troop to identify their own. 54 survivors are still on admission at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital receiving treatment, including a 6-year-old girl who survived the accident and was still looking for her parents. Today, top government officials, including the Railways Development Minister Joe Garte and the Deputy and the Western Regional Minister, have been to the hospital where it emerged the constituency executive of the governing party was among the casualties. We'll bring you that shortly. But before then, let's take you back to the accident, how it all happened, and how the families have been taking the news.
Some relatives break down uncontrollably upon finding out that their sisters, brothers, children are among the 34 persons who got killed Tuesday dawn.
It's
a day they might never ever forget in their lives. Hajia sprawls on the ground here at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. She narrates she and her sister both live at Takoradi, and her sister, who was also killed in the accident, had 4 children.
Accident scene na fire service for police for what's where you body sitting in
She says her sister bade her goodbye to transact business in Accra and will return same day. 5:30 p.m. Monday was the last time she was going to hear the sweet voice of her sister. The sister called her. She was in the Kaswa traffic heading back to Takoradi. In the morning, the children came to her saying their mom did not return. That was awkwardly strange.
There lies my sister. Oh, Hadija.
Her phone was not going through. She subsequently heard on radio there had been an accident. She followed up to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, checked through those who were alive at the accident and emergency center at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, could not find her sister, and the only place she could find her sister was at the morgue of the same hospital. According to her, she's been dealt a heavy blow. Meminatu has been brandishing her phone that has the picture of her sister and pacing up and down the mortuary of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. She needs her sister back. Another heartbreaking story that was told us by the hospital officials was that of a 6-year-old girl who gained consciousness at the hospital and was looking around for parents. She might have been traveling with the parents in the same bus, they remarked. The accident occurred around 12:15 a.m. on Tuesday. This is one of the survivors. He gives us a succinct account of what he saw.
I was on board a vehicle from Takoradi to Accra. When we got to this sharp curve, the oncoming vehicle did overtaking. And then our driver tried swerving him, but rather he drove into our direction and then hit him. So that's what happened.
How many people were in your bus?
54 to be precise.
And where are they now? Do you know where they?
Most of them have been taken to the hospital.
But were there people you saw dead in the vehicle that you were traveling?
Both vehicles. I was part of those who I started with the rescue, and I called National Fire Service and then the police service came and met me trying to save lives before they even came in.
What would you blame this accident?
Street lights is one, and the other side is, driving, you don't overtake in a curve. Knowing willfully well that you are approaching a curve, you are not supposed to overtake. Myself, I'm a driver.
The Elmina District Police Commander, Superintendent Samuel Ntiana, who has been at the scene of the accident since dawn, gives an account of what he believes happened and the operations carried out thereafter.
It's a road accident involving 2 passenger buses.
What really happened?
And the letter we gathered was they had a head-on collision at this very spot. around 12:15 a.m. today.
Did they give you details of how it happened, who was doing what and all of that?
We gathered one was overtaken, the red one. The one lying just behind was overtaken. And unfortunately, this one, the white one, also emerged or appeared from Coast-Takoradi direction. And they couldn't complete overtaking, and they had a head-on collision.
So how many people, can we confirm are dead?
So far, we rescued 29 dead, 13 females and 16 males, together with one child of about 1 year.
So these are people we can confirm dead?
Yes, this one I can confirm that. We rescued them trapped in the vehicle dead.
The National Road Safety Commission struggled to put the level of their disappointment into words. Acting Regional Director of the Commission, could not simply understand why the new year could record such numbers of deaths and injuries.
Yes, we woke up not to a very pleasant news in the central region, and as per the information we are gathering from the police at post, the driver coming from Cape Coast direction towards Takoradi was overtaking, and I think it went bad, so the one coming from the western regional side could not control, and they met head-on on the incoming lane of the other vehicle, causing the crash. And the information so far is we have about 29 confirmed dead. The rest have been transported to the Cape Coast Hospital, Itabetin. It's not too good a news. We can only hope for the best for those injured, and the numbers are actually not encouraging at all.
How does it feel being the head of the Road Safety Commission? We are starting 2020, and this is what we start with.
Feels like a nightmare. I'm yet to wake up from the figures. It's not good. It's a huge responsibility. We are not going to relent. We are still going to educate the drivers on best road use possible. We are not going to relent, like I said. We are hoping this is the worst and it will never happen like this. Even if there's a crash, there shouldn't be any injuries, not to talk of 29 dead on the spot. We deserve better as a region, we deserve better as a country, and we are only hoping for the best use.
This very spot is an accident-prone area. This is not the first time this thing is happening. I think, there was a break for some time, and now this thing has happened. What do you make of it?
For now, we cannot attribute it to any causative factors, but considering the time of the crash, we can relate it to a bit of bad weather or poor visibility, because as you can see, we don't have any street lighting on the stretch. So for now, we can attribute it to visibility, but of course, investigations are still ongoing. We'll try to find a best solution to this very problem.
Okay, we received,
PRO of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Frederick Nyanka, announced 5 more persons had died in addition to the 29 who were brought in dead.
We had 20 male adults, we had 11 female adults. We had 3 children, 2 female and then 1 male. And then we have about 54 at the accident and emergency unit, and they are being treated upon. Some with minor injuries, and they have been treated and discharged. Others are in a very critical condition, but they are also being treated upon.
Many more relatives pour in to identify their family members and other relations. The spot where the accident happened has swallowed 42 lives before, and many more lives have been snuffed out there before. The number of people killed in this accident represents the heaviest in recent times. Richard Kwejunyako, JoyNews, Cape Coast.
One of the things we'll be examining here on the show today is government response so far to this national disaster. Let's hear from Railways Development Minister Joe Gatti, who visited the area today.
It's a day after the accident, and we have people pouring in to come and identify whether their relatives are part of those who are living or they are part of the dead. Incidentally, we have the Member of Parliament for Isikado Katan, who is here, Minister for Railways. He's here. I don't know what has brought him here. Good morning.
Good morning.
What has indeed brought you
here? The accident. One of the people who passed away is financial secretary, one of the constituency officers, Makonde Haja. Very good woman. She lives in Kojoko. We went we noticed how hardworking she was in a party in Kojoko. Then she became a polling station chairperson. And then we elevated her to the position of financial secretary. She was a selfless person. She used not just her time, but also her money. And she did, it wasn't only politics, she was a stalwart in the society. She did a lot for people. From the reports I hear yesterday, the crowds of people went to her house, the reaction. It shows that she was doing things for people that even others didn't know. She's a very kind person. She was a businesswoman. And in fact, when the day of the accident, I talked to her in the evening. She was querying me. She queries me a lot. I mean, she's also the kind of person who, every politician needs people who can tell you when you're doing something wrong. So she said, why didn't you come during the weekend? And I said, I couldn't come because there were some other things I had to do in Accra. When are you coming? I said, I'm coming this weekend. Then she told me that she was in a bus going to Takoradi, but she came to Accra. So I said to her also that, why didn't you come and look for me? She said, I'm too busy. When she comes to Accra, she'll come to my office, I'm too busy. But the next time she comes, she'll look for me. And that was it. The next thing I heard was that this accident happened. First, I heard she survived. Then they told me that she had passed away. She was a good person. And so today, cabinet is being held today. Usually cabinet is held on Thursday, but today the president brought it forward for certain reasons. And you cannot, as it were, excuse yourself on cabinet. I mean, the president takes it very serious. We take it very serious because by the constitution, it's our duty to assist the president. Every 2 weeks we meet in order to think about Ghana, the country that the people of Ghana has given to us in trust for them, to serve them. But when I told the president yesterday about what has happened, he immediately said to me that you must go. And so I told him I can't come to cabinet today. And he immediately said to me that you must go. That's why I'm here today. And we are here to, I don't know what to say again. Because I just, her children are here. I don't know what to say again. She's always around, very calm person, calming influence, on the party. She was like an elder. She was part of the council executive, she was younger than me by a number of years, but at the same time, she was somebody who could tell you that this, what you are doing, don't do this, why are you doing this, and so on. So we've lost the party, the country, her family have lost a stalwart. The stalwart. It's indeed regrettable. She has her children, I know her family, her husband. I don't know what else to say.
So this has something to do with transportation and all of that, and you are responsible for it. Do you think that we should tilt our energies towards the rail sector? That would be more safer than using our roads?
I've made that point several times. I mean, about 98% of our transport is by road. Perhaps just now the plane is taking a little now. I mean, that statistic maybe has changed a bit because of the fact that today there's the plane going up and down. But our roads are too many road accidents. I'm not going to blame anybody or anything like that. But the train is much safer, and I think we are doing our best. And it is my hope that in a few years to come, we can go back to the old days we came to meet, where you can sit in a train from Accra to Takoradi and not always take a car for these long distances, which sometimes end up in the way we are just seeing. So we are doing our best. I don't think today is a day for me to extol the virtues of railway. I think that will be for another time.
Thank you very much.
Well, some have said that the minister's comments there does not necessarily factor in the 33 others who have died, and that it singles in on one person because she is somehow affiliated to the governing NPP. We'll talk about that momentarily, but there is pressure now on hospital authorities to release the bodies as some family members demand their dead for burial. Richard Kojo Nyako has been speaking to authorities at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital.
From yesterday to today, we have been trying to manage the mass casualty that occurred on the Takoradi Cape Coast stretch. And you know, around between 12 and 1 o'clock, we had a call from an observer that there was an accident, and we quickly mobilized our resources to contain the situation. You are aware that 30 people came in that we classified as walking injured, and we treated and discharged. 26 had to be admitted because they were moderately to severely injured. Out of that, we had to admit one to the ICU who died shortly after the admission. 5 were brought in dead, and they were brought to the mortuary. And then the police also reported about 28 bodies that had died. So together, we had a total of about 34 bodies in our mortuary that we initiated administrative processes and legal processes to get the bodies identified. And then, you know, they're all coroner's inquest, and the coroner will have to give us the necessary directives as to how to proceed. So from yesterday to today, we have been managing mass casualty. The 25 that are remaining are fine. The ones in the body are in the process of body identification and coroner inquest documentation to go through. And then as and when we get the clearance from the coroner, the bodies will be released to the deceased family. I think that we have seen that the Honorable Regional Minister has sent the Deputy Minister. He wanted to be here himself, but he's in a very important meeting in Accra. And the Deputy Minister has come to represent him and the government as a whole. And what is left for us to do is to ensure that we manage the end part of the whole process successfully. Well, it was a bad day for the entire nation. For some of us, a national disaster. Getting infants, we have a record of 3 die out of these accidents and displaced at the mortuary. Is a very traumatic incident, especially for those families that will have to walk through the bodies to identify their own. It's a traumatic situation. We've gotten our psychologists to get involved in these whole processes to encourage and then to help the families overcome the traumatic situation that they are living.
So what are the decisions that are going to be taken at this moment and the moment thereafter? Because I have seen some family members pressuring that their bodies should be released to them.
At this moment, we are hastening the processes of the coroner to get the clearance to release the bodies. And then as government representative, we'll be looking at the financial issues with regards to the fees that the families are supposed to pay, and then probably waive them off. Those who came through the accident and emergency in accordance to policy, national policy on managing emergencies, have been treated without any financial cost to them. That's what the policy says, that we should treat regardless of the ability to pay, and we have done that. So we'll be gathering the necessary documentation and reporting as such when everything is over to our board, the governing board, and then the Ministry of Health.
Richard Kojo-Nyarko there speaking to hospital authorities there. We'll be joining Richard Kojo-Nyarko when he joins us via Skype. But right now, there's a press release that's just coming from the National Road Safety Authority. And I read that to you right now. It says National Road Safety Authority, it says 35 die in Central Region crash. Well, they're saying 35. So far, we knew about 34. Perhaps there is an addition of 1 more. We'll clear that up with Richard Kojo-Nyarko when he joins us on Skype. But it says the National Road Safety Authority can confirm that 2 buses were involved in a road traffic incident during the early hours of Tuesday, January 14, 2020, at about 12:10 hours at Dompase near the Commander Junction on the main Cape Coast-Takoradi highway in the Central Region. The total fatalities arising from the road traffic crash as of this morning is 29, with 25 cases of varied degrees of injuries still on admission, and 33 have been treated and discharged. It says again that preliminary investigations can further confirm that the vehicles involved were public service transport vehicles operated by GPRTU from the Kaneshie and Takoradi terminals. They were a Hyundai bus with registration number GN 378010 and a MAN diesel bus with registration number GR 570418 that were traveling from Accra to Takoradi and Takoradi to Accra respectively and collided head-on at the accident scene. The statement goes on to say that currently the injured are receiving varied treatment at the Effiong-Kwanta and the Cape Coast teaching hospitals. The bodies of the 35 deceased victims, comprising of 21 males, 11 females and 3 toddlers, have been deposited at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital morgue, awaiting identification, autopsy and collection. Whilst we commiserate with the families of the victims of this incident, the authority has, pursuant to its mandate, commissioned a multidisciplinary crash investigation into the crash to determine the contributory factors and institutional lapses that may have accounted for the crash. This, among others, will inform immediate actions and measures. The authority will wish to assure the motoring public that it is taking appropriate steps to exert some control on the operations of commercial, that's passenger and freight, road transport organizations. These steps include a vigorous sensitization of the operators of the new mandate of the authority, training of some 13,000 high-risk commercial drivers, as well as development of a legislative instrument for the regulation of road transport operations pursuant to the National Road Safety Authority Act 2019, Act 993. In the interim, the statement concludes, the public is reminded that road safety is a way of life that can be achieved by observing basic safety precautions on speeding, wrongful overtaking, fatigue and destructive driving, whilst passengers are expected to assume frontline roles by speaking up against driver misbehavior. Well, that statement doesn't necessarily end well. It says that it's urging citizens to take frontline roles by speaking up against driver misbehavior. Thank you. Issued by the National Road Safety Authority. So as you heard there, investigations are ongoing to find out the contributory factors, they say, that led to this particular crash. And they are going to take immediate action. They say, well, what will these immediate actions be? And what have they found out already at this point? These are some of the questions that we'll need the Road Safety Authority to answer. We've not had them yet, but let's head to Cape Coast, where correspondent Richard Kojonyako has been following that story. He joins us via Skype, like I said. Hello, Richard. Richard, give us an update on this little girl. Has she found her parents now?
No, the little girl, the parents have been pronounced dead. They are part of the 34 that couldn't make it. So they are at the morgue, the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital morgue. It's not only her parents, but her younger sibling as well. 8-month-old baby also died. And so the person this girl has been able to identify is the elder brother, who is 8. The two of them sustained some injuries in the accident. One had an injury on the upper part of the arm, and they are receiving treatment. And then the other person had some injury on the head. So he went into coma and then came back and was asking of the parents. So that is the update on the little girl who was asking for the parents. There is also another woman who has been asking of the children. The children, 2 of them are also dead. They are part of the 34. The woman has been crying, but because of the pains in which she is and the seriousness of her injury, she's not been able to go to the mortuary to identify where exactly the 2 children have been as well. This morning, the hospital premises has been very busy. You know that one of the deceased also is an MPP, a Sikado Keten Constituency Financial Secretary, Hajia, they call her. And she was also part of the accident and also was killed. The MP for the area also visited the family members who came here. So the children of Hajia were also at the morgue. There were some pressure that were being piled on the hospital authorities to release the body, but we've been interacting with the chief executive. You know, we had the chief executive indicating that there is a coroner's report that has to be received, and then it ought to be okayed before they can release the bodies to them. This afternoon, two things have basically happened. The regional police commander, the Central Regional Minister, Kwame Nadankan, they have gone to the scene of the accident to assist in investigation, to ask a lot of questions why the accident happened. But there is a third narrative from the driver who was driving the red vehicle, who the narrative earlier have indicated that he was overtaken. According to him, we spoke with him a short while ago at his hospital bed, and he said that, well, he was not overtaken because he was even using the second gear in driving, but there was an articulated truck that had also stopped in the middle of the road, and so he wanted to veer off, and then in the process of veering off, there was that head-on collision. But the police have indicated that they are going to subject all of these narratives into some discussions, and they will be part of their investigations as well.
Richard, I'll take you back to this little girl whose parents have been confirmed dead. What's happening to her at the moment?
Well, the only person who we know that is associated to her is a worker who works with the father, and he's been here, and then they are looking further to the extended family to come back. We want to have further conversation with them to know exactly where these two little girls they will be after they are discharged, what is going to happen to them and all of that. We are still at the hospital having a lot of discussion around these things. Okay. The CEO of the hospital has been taking the regional minister and his entourage round. And then there have been stories upon stories by individual people, individual survivors who are on their hospital bed at the moment. And so we are yet to know what will really happen to them, whether there are relations that are actually around to take care of the responsibility of the two people.
And whilst the authorities seek to put all of these pieces together, Richard, the Deputy Regional Minister and the Regional Minister himself, plus the Railways Minister, have been touring this area, and they've been talking to the people. Let's begin with the Deputy Minister, Regional Minister. What did he say and what did he do? What did he do?
The Deputy Regional Minister came in on behalf of the President and the people of Ghana, but additionally, the Regional Minister, who were told earlier that he had an urgent assignment in Accra and couldn't be here, has right back, went to the accident scene and has been here. He visited the victims, the survivors, but he's not gone to the mortuary yet, but he's just donated 10,000 cedis to assist with the works on or the treatment of these people that are here. He relayed the commiseration of the President to the people that have been affected and the family members whose relatives have been affected in this accident. For the Sikado Katan MP and Railway Minister Joe Gatti, he came in on the account of the constituency executive for where he is an MP. He came in to support them, to actually condole with them, because according to him, that woman was a fantastic individual. Humility was one of his hallmark and all of that. And he said that was the reason why he came. And he's been advocating that we should be tilting more of our energies on railway development, so that one would want to travel from Takoradi to Accra, for instance, and then if there are rails, the person could do it in not more than 1.5 hours, and then that place is safer than the route. And so they are going together with government, they are going to sit down and then judge to ensure that this incident does not happen. And one accident cannot and should not claim 34 lives as this one has been.
So, Richard, there have been some concerns about the railway development minister's visit and what he had to say when he got there. What else did he do in the region apart from visiting the family of this person who is a party executive?
Well, he joined the deputy regional minister to come here. So he did not come here alone. The two of them came, but he said that basically he came here on the account of Hajja, the constituency financial secretary, but he teamed up with his colleague here to offer some commiseration to the people here. So basically, that was the basic thing he came here to do.
Did he visit any of the victims' families?
I was not part when I left the hospital, when he had left to go and see the regional police commander. So I am not in the position to know whether he came back to the hospital to go to the individual or to visit the other people here. Just as the regional minister and the deputy regional minister have done.
Very well. Richard, thank you very much. Is there anything else we need to know about this particular matter? Otherwise, we'll call it a day.
Well, so let's look at the nature of the injuries. A lot of them had injuries on their thighs. One victim was recounting how the accident happened, and he said that the legs were trapped. There was no one. She cried incessantly in the vehicle until the Ghana National Fire Service came. They had to tie the two legs and then pull her out of that one. So as we speak now, she cannot even move the two legs. There are so many people who have the same injuries, and then the GPRTU people responded that, well, that is how the vehicles have been designed, and so when there is an accident, your legs could sustain some fractures, and so the fractures are basically on their thighs and their hands and the upper part of their body and their chest as well. So these are the nature of the injuries of the people that are still in the war.
Richard, thank you very much for that update. Richard Kojonyako has been on this beat for us since it broke yesterday at dawn. So let's move on with this particular story. While the problem persists, there's concern about the seeming lack of action on the part of people in authority to stop the needless deaths. Now, this morning on the Super Morning Show, listeners were enraged because, you know what, this same sport has claimed 42 lives before. Listen to those who called into the show, pouring out their fury.
Died on that road. I quite remember there was this daughter from the UK who was returning back to UK and died. I have a friend's daughter who was also involved. Honestly,
that's the 2008 accidents that's claimed 42 lives. I know the doctors.
I know them. They were both airport with Lagos town people.
Yeah.
You see, honestly, if we are going to leave driving for only the school drop out without any proper training, just as somebody just said, we were going to have a problem. I have a teacher colleague, my sister colleague, who was doing his master's circle. He died, leaving the kids and their wife.
If we are serious citizen people, those who are in charge must be kicked off. In fact, that same sport claiming lives, and we have people sitting down in the office who are either the road engineering at that place is very faulty, not either. It is. Look at the hula baloo going by some people who will get job in terms of registration, new voter register. People are, look at human being lives lost. Human beings, so not animals, not chickens for Christmas, but human beings lost. As you said, people are.
Some of the callers this morning on the Super Morning Show. Let's stay with road accident because there is another one recorded today in the Ashanti region. One person has been confirmed dead and 6 others in critical condition in a dawn collision between an urban commercial vehicle and a tipper truck at Abrepo in Kumasi. A middle-aged woman traveling with her daughter died, and the 6 others are, as I said, receiving treatment at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Erastus Asari Donko joins me with details. Hello, Erastus.
Yeah, Gifty.
Erastus, give us further details.
So at dawn this morning, we had this accident that claimed 1 life at Abrepo Highway. The main barricade Abrepo Junction Road has been closed to traffic because of an ongoing construction of a bridge. And so many of the vehicles are now sharing a main route to Macro, Tapo Macro, with the trucks which ply that particular road. So there's an intersection where one busy road leads in Barikesi Abrepo Junction Road, and this is where the accident occurred. The F-Bus was coming in from the Macro end to join the main road and at top speed. And so he met the tipper truck at the intersection, and the driver tried to swerve him, but he couldn't miss him. And so they crashed on the side. And the vehicle skidded off the road and landed on the side of the road, killing 1 person instantly. In fact, this middle-aged woman was trapped for hours in between the seats, the metal seats of the urban vehicle, and they could not remove her. It was the fire service that came in, and they were finally removed her, but she was lifeless. So the police confirmed she was dead. 6 other people were transferred to the Confanote Teaching Hospital, where they are currently receiving treatment. So when you go to the scene, you could see pools of blood, and even pools of blood all splattered across the urban vehicle, which is currently parked at the Swami police station.
So do we have any updates as far as those who have been injured are concerned?
Well, currently they are all responding to treatment, but the additional information we have is that the police have arrested the driver of the super truck, but the driver of the urban vehicle fled the scene. He has been telling eyewitnesses that he lost brakes, but the police are looking for him to assist in the investigation.
Well, Erastus, as and when there is any further development on this story, we'll come to you. Erastus Asare-Donko there, joining us all the way from Kumasi with an update on another accident, yet another accident, apart from what happened yesterday, claiming 35 lives, according to the National Road Safety Authority. Well, you've heard from Erastus, 1 more person has died, 6 others are in critical condition, battling for their lives. So one of the focuses of this particular accident has been government response so far. It happened yesterday. Like I said, as I speak, the roads ministry has not been there. We know that the regional ministers, and the regional minister and the deputy, they've gone there. We also know that the railways development minister has been there. But really, how do we assess government response to this thing after 42 people have died at the same spot? Executive Director of Public Safety Bureau, Nanaya Akwada, is joining me on the line right now. Hello, Nanaya.
Hello, and good afternoon to your viewers.
I can feel even before you start speaking the fatigue, with which comes anytime we have to talk about this subject, because we've spoken about it over and over again. We've beaten it so much, but we can't run away from the reality. The reality is it is still happening and people are dying. 34 people have died. They've left behind a young girl who cannot find her parent, who woke up from coma and still hasn't found the parent. The parents have been confirmed dead this afternoon. Now, this girl will certainly live with the trauma for the rest of her life. Besides that, those connected to the 34 others certainly won't have an easy life. What do you make of this before we go to government response?
Well, thank you. I think it's a sad incident. I am quite surprised at the shock we are all expressing at this incident. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. I think that as a country, we have become very good at pretense. And sorry to say that this involves the media. We all know the state of affairs on our road, and yet when these things occur, we all pretend to be shocked, surprised, taken aback, and all. I think when the pretense ends and we begin to face and live the reality, people who have the mandate to cause the change will begin to work to effect those changes. But as long as we continue in the way that we are going, things will continue to be like this. I believe that we all know, even before the 2019 ended, and we at the Bureau of Public Safety continue to say that road incidents continue to be the #1 killer, #1 cause of accidental deaths in Ghana. And we agree, as at end of 2019, we were in excess of 2,000 people. And so I'm a bit taken aback that when this incident occurred, the media has been showing so much surprise, so much shock. Perhaps it's only natural, but the real thing is that we don't tend to take it a situation that serious.
Taking the situation serious, and I know it might sound like a broken record, but what do you, this afternoon, the Minister for Railways Development headed there, and he's been commiserating with the people there. What is your assessment of government's interventions or government response after these? And I get it when you say that you are surprised at the response, but when people die in a preventable situation, avoidable situation, certainly people get shocked by it, and those who are connected to them, we feel the emotions with them as much as possible. What do you make of government response so far?
Well, yesterday I saw the president tweeted, and this morning I'm hearing of one or two government officials visiting the site, visiting the hospital and the morgue. But really, these responses are classic, and they are routine, and we at the Bureau of Public Safety since yesterday have sent down more than 30 radio and TV interviews over this incident. It's not that we are not concerned or we don't feel bothered by it, but that we really think that as a nation, we are dancing around the issues. What we should be asking of government is not tweets to commiserate with people, should not be visited to morgues and hospitals. What we should be asking of them should be concrete reform that will lead to better road experiences, concrete reform that will lead to strict compliance with road regulations. Elsewhere, you don't, when there's a stop sign and you approach a stop sign, whatever happens, even if it's a ghost town, when you approach a stop sign, you stop and you take off. In our country, nobody observes a stop sign. Speed limits are foreign. Nothing is happening that shows that we want to save lives on our road. And so when these things happen and we tend to focus light on who is going there, what are they saying, and we keep them prominent, we tend to push the whole issue into the background. The fact is that there are state agencies that receive budgetary allocations year on year. Their mandate is to work to make the road experience better, is to work to bring fatalities on our roads down. If those institutions are still alive and are around today, and the taxpayers' money is being used to fund them, we must go to them today and ask them, what new are they going to do? And a year on, we should go to them and evaluate the use, how useful our tax money has been put. But if year on year the figures are going up and year on year we are funding these things, then I'm sorry, we are dancing around the issue.
Dancing around the issue, Nanayao, two quick things before I let you go. There has been a press statement this afternoon, just a while ago, from the National Road Safety Authority. In it, they indicate that they've started an investigation, and that investigation, now that they are, the group is an authority, they started an investigation and they will be taking immediate steps afterwards. I'm not sure you've seen it, but with this summary I've given you, does that suffice somehow in this case?
The act that turned them into an authority was assented to sometime in August 2019. It will be refreshing if really they have been able to put their acts together to be able to conduct a meaningful investigation and begin to fight. I believe also that they know there is an adjoining regulation that have to be passed to make their work operable. To the extent that that regulation is not in, I wonder what phase or what procedures they'll be using to work and how they are going to
Okay.
I'm at a loss, but investigation after every accident is good. So let's just say that Mr. Welcome knew. They should do the investigation. We will wait to see what comes out of the investigation.
Nanaya, thank you very much for your contribution to the program. Nanaya Okwada is with the Bureau of Public Safety there, joining us to discuss this rather unfortunate incident. What do you make of government response so far? Do send us a WhatsApp message on the number that we'll put on the screen. This one says, please, I think the issue of these frequent accidents has to do with one. So I'm surprised at the way there are no street lights on highways, which is very unfortunate. So lack of street light is a major cause. And one of the people we spoke on the scene said the same thing. Two, he says some drivers don't know the various road signages very well as to when to do overtaking. So I'm pleading with the National Road Safety Authority to intensify all efforts to educate drivers on road signs. That's a message coming to you as well. This one says, Gifty. This is so pathetic that we're hearing road accidents nowadays. Drivers should be schooled on driving. It's from Amuzu Oscar Solo in Agogo in Asante Achem North. This is from Moses Arthur Abease in Bono East. Moses says, I think much has not been done by government over the years. We'll wait until an incident occurs before making a move. Street lights and traffic lights are not working. Unauthorized speed ramps, etc. The current government should be up and doing to stop these deaths. Keep your messages coming and we will read and share it with the rest of the world. I still have more of your messages on that big story we brought you today, the accident, the carnage on our roads. I read some of them to you. Amin from Tamale says, may the gone souls rest in peace, and those at the hospital, I wish them speedy recovery. In fact, this is very painful. What Road Safety Commission, now authority, is doing, what is it doing to minimize road accidents apart from sensitization and advocacy programs? They should wake up and go beyond that. That's Amin from Tamale sending in that message. This one said, I think drivers are the causes of most accidents on the way. The VIP drivers don't respect other small vehicles on the way. Overspeeding and overtaking has become the order of the day. Overspeeding drivers should be punished mercilessly because they are destroying many lives. And indeed they are. You don't add your name. This one says, finally, whilst expressing extreme rage and displeasure at the carelessness of a driver which has cost the precious lives of dear Ghanaians, our prayers and thoughts are with the families of those who have been deprived the company of their loved ones. In fact, this is really sad incident. I think JoyNews shouldn't indulge in promoting these trivial issues. Some people attempt to reading political meanings into it. Do you think that political meaning should not be read into this? Thank you very much for sending your message in. Do join us again tomorrow.